Venezuelan opposition figure Maria Corina Machado says she will remain in the country after her party's presidential candidate, Edmundo Gonzales, went into exile. Mr Gonzales arrived in Spain yesterday after an arrest warrant was issued over July's disputed election results. Venezuelan authorities say the incumbent, Nicolas Maduro, won the vote, but they've not released detailed voting data to back it up. Maria Corina Machado says she will continue the fight for democracy in Venezuela, while Edmundo Gonzales will support her actions from abroad.
The departure of Edmundo from some people's perspectives is that it may increase the risk about, I don't know. But in any case, I've decided to stay in Venezuela and accompany the fight from here, while he does it from abroad with actions that he can now do directly and not digitally as we have been doing so far.
Since the election, there's been a growing number of Venezuelans fleeing to the Brazilian border town of Pacaraima. Those attempting to leave Venezuela say political tensions are behind their decision to leave the country.
We planned on travelling already, but this election was another reason. Because obviously, if the country was as it was, I don't think it will improve, as the same government continues.
A regular day in my life in Venezuela was terrible. Most days we didn't have anything to eat and would receive food bags from the government. This was the only aid that we had. So I decided to come to Brazil. I know God has something good for me here.
Phil Gunson is a senior analyst focusing on the Venezuelan political situation at International Crisis Group, and he joins me now from Caracas. Phil, thank you for joining us. The opposition leader, I should say, remains in your country. The presidential candidate, Edmundo Gonzales, has fled to Spain, as we heard yesterday. Now, we know the president, Nicolas Maduro, is to again take the oath of office in January. So these next few months are crucial to changing this course. Can it be done? And if so, how do you see this playing out?
Yeah, it's really quite a challenge because the government has doubled down essentially on this claim in the face of all the evidence that Nicolas Maduro won a third term of office. And the government is determined that come January the 10th, he will be sworn in. He'll have the presidential sack placed on his shoulders. And I think in the meantime, it's going to be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to get the two sides together for talks. The situation is extremely polarized. And right now, there doesn't appear to be any way out, certainly until this next presidential term starts and we see what the situation is then.
Tell us about the situation at the moment for Maria Corina Machado, the opposition leader, having to move around and give digital interviews. Tell us about her safety or otherwise.
Well, she's been at risk for a long time. She, of course, was the candidate chosen by the opposition in an open primary in October of last year to stand against Nicolas Maduro, and the government banned her from standing. They've described her as a fascist, as a terrorist. They say she's trying to overthrow Nicolas Maduro, that her associates are trying to kill him. So obviously, you know, metaphorically at least, there's a price on her head. I think the government doesn't want to put her behind bars. They don't want the additional pressure that would come from having this very high-profile figure in jail. What they'd like to do is to persuade her to leave the country, but she's pretty tough. And I think she means it when she says she's going to stay here and tough it out.
Yeah, and she says that Edmundo Gonzales will continue the fight alongside her, but from Spain. So what is the role of the international community here? We know that countries have pressed for transparency on the results. The White House says Maduro needs to release those results. Spain has, of course, offered asylum, but what else can be done?
Yeah, again, it's tough. It's a real challenge. The international community is vital to this. This is not just a Venezuelan problem. It's a problem for the whole region. And in fact, it's a geopolitical problem. You've got Russia and China lined up on one side, the United States, the European Union, their allies lined up on the other. There needs to be continued pressure. That's clear. In Crisis Group, we don't think that piling on more sanctions is the way to go. The maximum pressure campaign that Donald Trump launched in 2019 didn't work. If anything, it dismantled the opposition rather than dismantling the Maduro government. So it is tough. The pressure needs to be kept up, but there also needs to be a way out, an off-ramp, as they like to say in the United States. There has to be some kind of guarantee that if Maduro and his associates ever do leave power, that they won't be facing the rest of their lives in jail.
And can Nicolas Maduro ride out this storm?
Well, he's ridden it out so far. He's been in power since 2013 in very difficult circumstances. He's survived extremely comprehensive US sanctions, international diplomatic isolation. He clearly thinks he can survive it, but I think he's been weakened by this election because it's not only the opposition and the international community that are saying Maduro lost. Really, everybody on his side knows he lost too. The army knows it, the party knows it, every key government institution is well aware that Maduro lost. And that, of course, has affected his authority. It's weakened him as a president. So we'll have to see if he can survive another 6 years.